Hey guys, welcome to Thomas Guitars and Basses. Today we're going to talk about bass history with my colleague. Thank you very much for spending some time with us.
My pleasure.
The electric bass guitar is a very young instrument in comparison to like a violin or piano, for example. But I saw a picture where you were playing Sintir. And
Yes.
you wrote that it could be the great-great-great-ma from the electric bass or the double bass. So can you tell me more about it? And I think a lot of people don't know what a Sintir is.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not an ethnomusicologist, so I can't tell you.
But your brother is, right?
My brother. Yes, you are very well researched, Julia. Do you know what his favorite food is? The exact relationship between the Sintir, which is also known as a Gimbri, and there are other names for it as well. It's not 100%, to my knowledge, 100% clear the direct relationship between these instruments, but it makes sense that this would be, because the instrument has been around for more than 1,000 years. Than 1,000 years more than the electric bass. So I'll show you two of them. So this instrument, Gimbri, Sintir, whatever the word you choose to use. It's most commonly found in North African music, in Moroccan and Algerian music, and specifically in a genre that's called Gnawa, which is a sacred Sufi healing trance music. It's a 3-stringed instrument that has actually only 2 strings that traditionally you would finger, and 1 string that is a drone.
Oh, like a pedal tone, or
exactly, yeah. But
okay.
But even though it's a bass instrument, it's funny because it's actually a high tone.
Okay.
So this instrument, that, like I said, it's found largely in North Africa, but the Gnawa people who now live in North Africa are originally from West Africa and all the way through Central Africa, like Mali, Senegal, and even maybe as far as Nigeria, Benin, these places. And they were enslaved. A large group of these Gnawa people were enslaved as the Arab Empire was moving through Africa. So they were displaced from their original homes to the north, which is why this instrument is more prominent there now. But it has loads of similarities to West African instruments like the ngoni and others. So yeah, the way that it's tuned is you tune the instrument according to the voice, because in Gnawa music, traditionally there are only 2 instruments. There's the Gimbri, which is played by the lead singer, and then there is a Moroccan castanet that's called krakeb. It's like a metallic castanet, and that's normally played by a group of people who are supporting the singer and singing the choruses. Yeah, so and the cool thing about that is because the Moroccan castanet, the krakeb, has such a high frequency, it allows the Gimbri to be both bass and drum.
Okay.
So the instrument can be played like with no percussion, which sounds like this, or it can be played with percussion using these 3 fingers, which sounds like this.
Okay.
Which is, it's a weird technique that has nothing to do with bass actually, you know,
That's
like
a
the way that
completely new technique.
totally different. And really, I should have a big, long nail on my index finger to get the correct tone. Right now, the tone is not good because I don't have, well, one of many reasons is because I don't have the nail. There are other reasons why the tone isn't good that are more personal. And then these three fingers provide the rhythm. So you're, you know, moving this finger like kind of, the index finger kind of down, and then these three fingers are like a drumstick. Yeah.
Okay. And with the thumb, are you doing something with the thumb? No.
No, the thumb just rests on the top string and occasionally plays, or on the bottom string, I should say, the lowest string, and occasionally plays notes on that string. So we have like this low string, which is probably like a C right now or something. Normally it's around a D. That's the lowest string.
Okay.
And then we have the next string down is actually the highest pitched string, which is the same note an octave up.
Yeah.
And then we go 1/4 up from the lowest string.
Cool.
So if you play the instrument going from the ceiling to the floor, it sounds like this. So it's very counterintuitive because we're, as guitarists and bass players, we're used to the strings going from low pitch to high pitch as you go towards the floor. But in this case, that's not it at all. And the middle one is the string that you don't finger traditionally.
Okay.
Yeah, it
reminds me a little bit of a church, like when you're going to the church and you hear the bells. Now I hear.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes.
I mean, I think. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a resonant instrument, and you have that drone string, so it's super fascinating to me that this whole thing, the way that it works, and you know, it's made from normally wood from near Essaouira, Morocco, and then this is camel neck. It's the neck of the camel, and the strings are made from goat guts or sheep guts. Okay. So yeah, it's funny, and the bridge is made from bone, from animal bone. So it's funny too because if you're playing, and the instrument starts to warm up, it smells like camel.
No, okay.
Yeah, this one it's like ooh, you know, I mean.
But the tuning must go up and down also with the temperature, so or not?
Yeah, I mean, tuning the thing in general is temperamental. Traditionally, it didn't have these. Traditionally, it just has these pieces of leather that are attached. That's like the nut of the bass, but it's actually also how you tune it, which is really interesting. So it's deep, but you know, I mean, I think that there's definitely ethnomusicologists who can draw a line from this instrument to what we're playing today. But the thing that strikes me so much about it, you know, whether there's a direct relationship or not, is just how similar the grooves are and how similar the role of the instrument is. You know, that this music has been around for, you know, anywhere between 700 and 2,000 years or something. You know, I mean, it's very old music. But I was teaching an electric bass class the other day, and we were playing only Gnawa lines. I would play it and they would play it back, and I would play another one and they would play it back on bass. Everything on bass, but they're traditional Gnawa bass lines. And like I just slipped into a James Brown groove from Funky Good Time. And it was just so natural. It felt like, and nobody really even noticed. Like half the class thought that it was just a Gnawa bass line.
Okay.
You know, that it's incredible that the music still feels so relevant, you know, I mean, because of course it's still evolving, but incredible that these lines that have been around for hundreds of years are like, you know, that we as bass players are still kind of following in these footsteps, whether we know it or not. And I mean, some of the grooves are like really funky.
Yeah.
There's this one groove that's like,
I can hear people sing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like if you played that bass line on a funk gig, people would be like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
No one would guess that bass line is 500 years old, or you know what I mean? Like, who knows?
And your or the fingering is like the same, or are you doing it like the same on the bass, or do you do
No.
it like
No.
completely different?
No, and I mean, I should make 100% clear. I'm a student of this instrument. I've not played this professionally. I'm doing it just to deepen my knowledge of the role of bass sounds in music, and because I'm in love with Gnawa music, you know. But yeah, so you know, just like the technique is super different on the right hand.
Oh,
it's
you
the
can so concentrate. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. It's the technique is different in both hands.
Okay.
So, and you asked about the thumb in the right hand.
Yeah.
So I should say that yeah, sometimes the thumb actually does play notes.
Yeah.
It's like slap, but you're actually going the opposite direction.
Okay.
So instead of going
down, you go
down,
up.
you're actually going up.
Okay, from the other side, actually.
Yes, from
Okay.
below the string. Because if you see, the action is very, very, very high on this
Yeah,
instrument,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you play, yeah.
So is it hard for the left hand?
The left hand is much easier than the right hand.
Okay.
For me, the 90% of the work has been the
Is-
right hand.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But there's some things in the left hand that are interesting, like that note. It's a microtone. It's not a full major second.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
playing. It's like a.
I'm thinking, oh no, you have to go down a little bit. It's too high. The pitch is not correct.
Well, I mean, I'm sure I'm still not playing it correctly, but maybe in a different way than you're thinking. But yeah, that's the thing that's different in the left hand versus regular bass, is that some notes need to be a little bit flat.
Yeah. But I
but-
mean, it's fretless.
It's a fretless instrument, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. So it's easier to play that way. And also, like, what's interesting is the technique of where you would normally, like the pit. There's a relationship between the microtonal element of the music and the way that you finger it. Like if I wanted to play, for example, this totally in tune, like. Like if I wanted that major third to be in tune, I would play it with my fourth finger, right? But maybe but because I want it to be flat, I'll play it with my third finger.
Ah, okay, yeah, makes sense.
Right? So I mean,
Yeah.
this Gimbri is actually very small. So I did the fingering that way, but on another Gimbri, it would be a thing where, yeah, you know, maybe I would shift.
Oh, so it's different on every instrument.
Yeah, I mean, this other Gimbri is has a much bigger scale, much longer scale.
Yeah.
So. So like.
That sounds so great. It sounds like there's an effect on it.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, and they do actually have this thing, like the first effects pedal, you know, I don't know, where it's like a thing that you also see people put on djembes, which is like a aluminum fan, and you
to
can put it,
vibrate.
yeah, exactly, and you can put it in the up here at the top of the instrument, and then it vibrates, it's, you know, it's like the first fuzz pedal, you know what I mean, when you play, which is super cool, but yeah, it's you know, for me, the whole thing about the instrument that is so obviously the sound is it's you know, Gnawa music is healing music. It's for people who are sick. You know, that you go to the house. There's a thing called a lila, which is a ceremony, a healing ceremony, and the Gnawa musicians, the malam, who's the master who plays the Gimbri and sings, goes with his group and tries to heal the sick person with music, which is a super interesting thing. So the sound of the instrument has a certain thing, but also I just love the mechanism of playing it, that you're playing drums and bass at the same time, and you're also playing the melody, because normally in the choruses of Gnawa songs, the vocal melody goes exactly with the Gimbri in unison, or more or less in unison. So it's like a bass, but it's filling three different roles I think it's really beautiful. And just playing it like you're using your body. It's not like this.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, to play a groove. It's like you have this whole kind of circular mechanical thing happening that is
it's really meditative.
Yeah. Well, it's trance
kind of
music.
way.
Yeah, Gnawa music is trance music. It's designed to put the sick person in a trance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, so that they can be healed. It's super cool. It's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, I would recommend that anyone who's playing bass at least listen to Gnawa music to see what the role of the bass was in music that's so ancient, you know.
And then people are singing over that pattern or over that line.
Yeah. So that song is called Hamuda. And over this thing that's like this is just the verse.
Okay.
But then when it goes to that's unison with the vocal.
Okay, yeah.
So the melody, you know, sings something that's very similar, if not exactly that. Or there's another song called Bangara that's like one, two, three, four.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? Which
So
is crazy.
Cool. Yeah.
Which is super, like, for me, when my teacher was teaching me that groove, I was like, man, it feels like slap, like super syncopated funk slap bass, like 3, 4. Right?
Yeah.
And then the melody. And they're singing that. So, you know, it's really cool because the bass will alternate between just playing the groove while the singer sings. And by the way, the singer is singing while they play that groove.
Wow.
Which is super, super cool.
I think I cannot count and play this like 1, 2, and play this rhythm. I think I would feel lost.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, I do. It's the same for me. But I just love that, like, this concept of like, okay, well, the bass is grooving while there's a melody, and then the bass plays the melody that everybody sings together, you know?
That's cool.
And it's like a thing that we don't get to do, right? As bass players, you probably
we should do that from now on.
I'm with it. And that's, you know, that ideas like that are things that, that we can do. You know, they're elements that we can pull from other forms of music and include them in our music without doing it in a way that's disrespectful or like appropriation or something, you know, because people ask that question a lot, like, okay, well, you know, how do I use what I'm learning in other forms of music in a way that's cool and respectful and isn't like just cheaply stealing things or whatever, you know, and I think it's good that we ask those questions, you know, because it's important to have respect for what you're learning from, but something like that's like a concept. It's like, like you could make a record that's all you singing, grooving on the verses, and on the choruses, the bass line plays the melody. No one would say like, oh, that's appropriated. You know, it's just a concept. It's a concept that's used in that music, or that, you know, almost all Gnawa songs start at a certain tempo and then they speed up.
Yeah. Okay.
So like, you could do that with all your songs, and I don't think anybody would say, oh, that's disrespectful to the Gnawa people or music or whatever.
A lot of people would not know.
Well, also that, yeah. But I think even people who did know would be like, oh, cool, yeah, they do that in Gnawa too. That's really cool, So there's like, for me, in a nutshell, that's kind of like one of the reasons why I love studying other forms of music is to encounter different concepts. Just like, oh, wow, yeah, like, I mean, aside from all the ways that Gnawa music is beautiful, there are so many little concepts in it that I love. The way that the Krakeb swing is the way, they play 16th notes, but the 16th notes are not even, right? So instead of 1E and a 2E and a, it sounds more like, which sounds actually very similar to Brazilian 16th notes in a certain kind of way. Maybe there's an ethnomusicological relationship happening there too. But, that those ideas we can kind of incorporate, like, oh, okay, well, 16th notes don't have to sound like, so maybe I'll write a song that has a different kind of swing with the 16th notes that's not trying to be Gnawa. I mean, you can take these ideas and put them into your own music in interesting ways, I think.
That's so cool. Thank you very much for all the detail. Where did you got the Sintir, or where did you got the instrument from?
They were both gifts. This was the first one that I got, and it was a gift from a malam. Malam is the word for master in Moroccan Arabic, and this was given to me by Malam Abdallah Al-Gord, who lives in Tangier. He's like the big figure in Gnawa music in Tangier in the north of Morocco. This is like a more old school, like, this is like a P bass. You know what I mean? It's like no fancy designs, but like beautifully made, totally, natural, organic vibes. And then this one was, it's awesome. And then this one was given to me by Malam Hamid Al-Kasra, who is he lives in Rabat now, but he's from near Kasra. And this one has like henna drawings on it, and actually the body is not wood, it's aluminum.
Okay.
But just for me, so that I could travel with it and without worrying about it getting messed up. So he gave it to me as like a, and they're very different to play. To go between one to the other is like they feel super different. It's like from a P bass to a, I don't know, like a Warwick or something. They're super different.
Yeah, but you said that it was like 1,000 years ago since this instrument was built, and there was no mass product like Leo Fender did, and everyone has like a standard, so they built like a lot of instruments and everyone was kind of different. That's
and what's the funny thing is that still now there are no Gimbri factories. Which is interesting, that every Gimbri is handmade still. Some are higher quality than others, but to my knowledge, if you go into a shop and find a Gimbri, it was made by a local Gimbri maker, which is super cool. Naturally everything's going to be different. They're all going to have their own different stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think in summary, I think it's a very interesting thing for us bass players to look at, and not just the Gimbri in Gnawa music, but other bass instruments around the world, just to see what our role can be as bass players in music, and see if we can incorporate some of that stuff into the way that we play.
That was beautiful. I think that are the last words for this interview. I could not add anything more. Thank you very much for telling us the stories, for spending some time with us, and I hope to see you very soon. And
me too.
Is there any Sintir music on the new album?
On my solo record?
Yeah.
There is one song that has Sintir on it, yes.
Okay.
Just one. Yeah. You don't have to suffer through my playing more than one song on it, yeah.
Cool. Thank you very much. And thank you
Yeah.
guys for watching. See you soon. Bye. Super cool.
Cool. I
so
hope
inspiring.
Oh, come on.